It's the Abba podcast. Let's go. And the next guest on the podcast, he's taken Australia by storm. 2021 Beauty and the Geek winner, Lachlan. How are we, Lockie?
G'day, Abba. I'm awesome, thank you. How are you going, mate?
Hey, good. Thanks for joining us. Tell us how's things been, champ. How are you?
I'm really good. It's been flat out. You've got no idea. Obviously, Beauty and the Geek finished airing back in August, and unfortunately, at the time, we were in lockdown here in Sydney through until mid-October. So the couple of months after the show finished, I couldn't go out or socialise with anyone, which at the time it was very...
Okay, we've temporarily lost Lockie. Hopefully we're going to get him back.
Yeah, so for the couple of months after Beauty and the Geek finished, unfortunately, we were in lockdown, which was very frustrating because I couldn't get out or socialise with anyone. But lockdown ended mid-October here in Sydney, and since then it's been a whirlwind. I'm still getting recognised everywhere I go, and I've picked up the Kyle and Jackie O producing gig on Kiss FM here in Sydney, which has been a fantastic opportunity, which came pretty much directly as a result of Beauty and the Geek. So some really exciting opportunities professionally, and my social life's been re-energised and reinvigorated.
Mate, honestly, it's inspiring for all the viewers, myself, everyone who watched you on the show. So many positive lessons to take from it, because a lot of people find these struggles in their day-to-day life. And it's good to see when there's hope or there's something at the end of the tunnel. Talk to us about the application of Beauty and the Geek. Where were you when you sent that application? And how realistic were your chances? Did you actually think you're a good chance to get in on?
Good question. So the application process started in, it would have been November last year. So I had a few friends who sent me a link to the online application, and they suggested that I should apply. My housemate at the time, she told me that I should absolutely apply because I was the nerdiest, geekiest guy that she'd ever met, and she thought that I was going to be a shoo-in for sure. So it started off with a written application, which then progressed to a Skype interview and then an in-person audition. I then had to go through a medical examination and a psychological assessment. So there were a number of hoops that I had to jump through in order to get on the show. In terms of what I thought about my chances, to be honest, I had no expectations whatsoever. I thought I'll give it a crack. I'll be true to myself in the way that I answer all of the questions in my application process and see what happens. And one thing led to another, and next thing I ended up on the show, and the rest is history.
Mate, talk to us. So you get on the show, you're now on the Nine Network, and whoever, us in Sydney, the Nine Network is one of the biggest networks there is. Then you're rubbing shoulders with Sophie Monk, a lot of other personnels, you got the beauties, you got the geeks. Talk to us, because you kind of took a lot of people under your wing from the get-go. It's like, especially with the motor car and your business as well, and you're a host before you were on Kyle and Jackie O. Talk to us about how you stayed true to yourself, and when the cameras ran, how hard was that to stick to, your guns?
It wasn't really that hard. I think one of the things about the show is that some of the challenges really played to my strengths. So in particular, the radio challenge, that was one where I immediately felt at home, because broadcasting and commentating motorsport is something that I already do professionally and have done for quite some time. So anytime I'm behind a microphone or I'm speaking in front of a large audience, like I was in the challenge right at the start where we had to MC the SEAL show, I've always been fairly comfortable and confident. It's in the more one-on-one social situations where I'm quite shy and reserved. So for me, the bit where I really got out of my comfort zone was where I was socialising with the beauties and getting to understand what made them click.
So talk to us about that. So what a lot of people don't see on the camera, because I watched the series, is there much coaching from Sophie behind the scene? What's going on when you guys aren't in challenges, when you guys aren't doing, when you aren't shooting? What's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, without giving too much away, pretty much what you saw on camera was what happened. That the producers and the editing team did a really good job of keeping it very authentic. So all of the stuff that happened was a pretty realistic depiction of of what actually played out. I mean, obviously, a lot of stuff got edited out, and not every bit of content that was filmed got shown because, like any TV production, hours and hours of content are filmed, and you're never going to be able to use all of it because then, every episode would have been a 4-hour documentary and nobody would have watched because it would have been boring. But behind the scenes, really, when we weren't on camera, we were just chilling in our rooms in our apartment. In my case, one of the big challenges that I had was that I do run my own business. So at night time or when we weren't filming, I was still having to be on my laptop and on emails and on the phone, making sure that my business was still functioning for that period while I was away.
Talk to us about your business now. The opportunity to get more exposure obviously has happened. You're on the biggest radio network that we got. You're on Channel 9. How have you felt the business has gone since your experience on the show?
That's an interesting one. So my business, Checkered Flag Media, is I do media and public relations and broadcasting and commentary, specialising in the motorsport industry. And to be honest, it's been a bit of a challenge because during a lockdown in the middle of the year, there was virtually no motorsport on. So the business side of things was struggling a bit at that point. And the Kyle and Jackie O show opportunity came along at a really good time for me, and it was a valuable source of income. Now we're out of lockdown, motorsport is starting to ramp up again. My business is really busy in terms of I've got lots of clients racing. I'm having to do lots of PR and social media work, and I'm juggling that with the Kyle and Jackie O show. So it's gone from being very quiet in the middle of the year to being more work than I can actually really cope with at the moment. It's pretty intense.
Geez, could you ever imagine yourself to have been in this position with all the work and all the exposure and all the different opportunities that have arose?
No, and to be honest, I probably wasn't quite well prepared enough for some of the professional opportunities that have now come my way. I don't think I fully realised or appreciated just how big it was going to be. I thought, I'll go on a reality TV show, it'll help me with my self-confidence and my social life. And, after that, things will just go back to normal. That's obviously not been the case because there's been all of these other doors that have opened up, which is awesome, but it means that I'm having to sort of restructure and reorganise my life to make the most of those opportunities.
That's true. And I think it's a lesson for the audience and the viewers who are watching and taking from your story, because a lot of people, when you go into something authentically, you're not putting on an act, you're being who you are, it's amazing what can come from it. Because a lot of people, especially when they have reality TV show opportunities, they kind of try and put an act on so they can have access to the opportunities that you have. So now you're telling us that you got there by being yourself and being true. Now, I think that's a lesson a lot of people can learn from.
100%. I think that there's some people who probably go on reality TV shows with ulterior motives of growing their social media followings and trying to become influencers. Whereas for me, it was never really about that. It's happened, but it's not something that I really planned to happen. It's just the way that it's worked out. So, it's now a case of me having to really think about how I maximize these new, the new exposure and the new audience that I now have.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And especially with the platform that we're currently on and we're speaking on, it's all about giving positive experiences, stories, inspiring people who might not be doing it that well, because we all have those days. And unfortunately, people are of the perception that they're never able to have these opportunities. And when they arise, it's good that we show and tell them of the struggles, because then they can kind of relate. And I feel that story is sort of lost in most instances, but with yours in particular, you can draw on the positiveness that came, but there was a lot of struggle before that. And a lot of people are dismissive of the struggle and they're only looking at the positive light that's happening now.
Yeah, I think one of the things I would say, Abbas, to all of your listeners is that, I've been extremely fortunate. I found myself in a bit of a hole in terms of my social life last year. And, I felt that I'd sacrificed so much of my social life to concentrate on my professional career that, my life was out of balance. And that was what motivated me to go on Beauty and the Geek. But what I would say is you don't necessarily have to go on a reality TV show to have that sort of experience where you are connecting with awesome people. There's other functions or events or conferences that you can go to. So we're very fortunate here in Australia that there's a lot of non-for-profit organisations that do very good work for the community. I'm thinking organisations such as Rotary, and they hold events that people can go along to where you get to meet other awesome people and be helping the community. So yes, I used reality TV show platform to, it was almost a bit of a counselling session in a way, which everybody got to watch on national television and enjoy and appreciate. And my mental health coming out of it is so much better than it was beforehand. But, even if you're not successful in applying to be on a show like Beauty and the Geek, it doesn't mean that there aren't other things out there that can help you achieve the same outcome.
It's 100%. It's about getting out there, putting yourself out there. And like you said, connecting with organisations, connecting with local communities, connecting with the old and the vulnerable, or with charities, or with, helping the homeless. There's a lot of opportunities where you can excel and better. And, once you reflect and you think, okay, it's not the worst thing. There's a lot more people worse off. How can I go to help? But then it's amazing how, I was just watching the block, and you listen to Vita, he's like, I came to build a home, but the home built me. It's almost like you go in for something and you're going to get something else. And I mean, credit to yourself. You went onto the show, and like you said, it's a success story. It's a lot of people can learn from that. And, the sky's the limit with you, because you're not finished, and busy is good. Talk to us. What opportunity has come where you've pinched yourself and you're like, never in a million years I would have expected this?
I think probably one of the things that's blown me away is when I look at my Instagram feed and I see people who I've looked up to and people that I've admired who've been following me and messaging me on Instagram. So, without wanting to name drop too much, people like Delta Goodrum, who's obviously a very famous Australian singer, and Pat Cummins from the Australian cricket team. So, people like that who I've noticed that have followed me on social media has just been very humbling and very heartwarming.
It is, eh? And it's only when you start interacting with these people, you almost kind of feel like, oh, they're human like I am. Growing up, I always thought they're all superheroes. Then when they give you the time of day, you're like, oh, wow, they're genuine, nice people like myself and like yourself. And you can always connect with one another. And it's also a lesson for the viewers. It's the sky's the limit. These people are all human. We all have the same emotion, the same feeling. That respect and camaraderie has to be shared no matter what, no matter where they are in life, no matter what their social status is. We are all one. Did you feel that coming off the show? It's like your perception was something, but reality was something else.
100%. And one of the things that I've been very conscious of since the show has finished, and especially now that we're out of lockdown and I'm able to go out and socialise, is that when people come across me and they recognise me and they want a photo, or, they want me to do a video message to one of their friends, I'll always make the time to do that, because I think if people have made the effort to come up and show their appreciation, the least that I can do is give them my time to thank them for their appreciation.
It's true. A story, I had Anthony, the man Mundine, on the podcast not long ago, and he was saying when he was a youngster, he was big into the cricket. So he went and he met Viv Richards and asked him for a photo, and nonetheless, he brushed him off. So Anthony walked away from that saying, I'll never brush someone off for a photo op or for any opportunity. I'll always give my time. So it's crazy how lessons like that, they sink in with some, and some appreciate it like yourself, and you're always going to give back because you know how it feels to be on the other side of the spectrum.
Well, yeah, I mean, my inspiration probably comes from a bit more of a positive perspective, where in my domain, which is motorsport, the most popular and successful racing drivers that we've had here in Australia over the last 40 years, you would have to say arguably are Peter Brock and Craig Lowndes, household names who endeared themselves to the fans. And the reason they were so popular is because they always put the fans first. Peter Brock would drive his family members and his team members insane because he would never want to leave the track, because he would want to sign every autograph for every person who wanted an autograph. And Craig Lowndes, much the same. And so, the lesson that I've learned from that is if you make time for the fans will return the favour by showing their support for you.
It's true, man. No, God bless you, Lockie. So talk to us of the show. You know, you talking about motor cars, your first date that you took in one of the, was it the go-karting? Am I not mistaken?
Correct. Yeah, that was with Josie in episode 3.
So talk to us about that. How was that going out there out of your comfort? And not only were the nerves going to be there for anyone, but you're on live national TV. How did you cope with both worlds?
Yeah, I mean, it was, to be honest, I just had to try and pretend that the cameras were not there. Obviously, we'd come off the high of winning the radio challenge when we did the go-kart date. So for me, it was an opportunity to bring Josie into my world and show her what it was like to go motor racing in go-karts. And it was a lot of fun, and Josie had a blast. Unfortunately, I think her driving technique probably needed a bit of work. There was a bit of an incident there where she hit the fence and knocked the GoPro off, which got captured on the TV episode that we saw. But it was just, for someone who hadn't really been on any proper dates for a while, it was just good to have that experience with somebody who really appreciated being taken on a date like that.
Yeah, look, you're coming off your alley as well. You know, you killed it in the TV, in the radio hosting. Then you went to your world again in the go-karting. Where did we get out of our world? Oh, yeah, the underwear, the spray tan. Talk to us about that.
Oh, yes. The makeover, the spray tan. Yeah, thank goodness I didn't have to get waxed as part of the makeover. I think that would have been a bit too much, but the spray tan was painful enough. That G-string that I had to wear, oh, jeez, that was, without exception, the single most uncomfortable item of clothing I have ever worn. It was horrible. G-strings are not designed for the male anatomy.
Yeah, I don't think so. And then to add fuel to the fire, it was on Channel 9, you know, the episode caught it, and you didn't forget it. I remember you telling Sophie, I'm not doing a tanning anymore.
No, and there's a lot of friends that are not going to let me live that down. They keep sending me screenshots of me in the G-string getting spray tanned, but the end result was worth it.
Yeah, geez, the banter from the boys or any of your close mates, family, friends. I mean, geez, you never hear the end of that, eh?
Oh, no, I won't.
So we moved from there. You did a lot of things. The challenges were built to take you out of your comfort. Now, I've never been a PT or run a PT session. You and Kira ran one. Talk to us about that. And geez, everyone loved the starfish Lockie, you know, the bit of the star jump. It turned into a meme, mate. The whole Australia saw it.
Yeah, and since the show, every time I've posted videos on TikTok of doing star jumps, they've gone viral. So, yeah, star jumps have become a thing for me now. Obviously, my star jump technique on the show wasn't very good, but fortunately, I had plenty of time to practice in lockdown. So I can tell you that it has got better since then.
Yeah, no, look, coordination ain't my thing either. You know, when someone shows me something, I'm pretty slow at picking it up as well. Now, I wasn't blessed in that coordination department. I should have taken on gymnastics a bit more serious when I was at school. I didn't do that.
No, I was never much good at gymnastics at school either, so I can certainly appreciate where you're coming from there.
Yeah, I can feel you there, man. And you know what another crazy challenge was? A wrestling challenge. Talk to us about that. That was a bit out there too.
It was. That was a bit intimidating, that one. Again, not something that I'd done before and something that got me well out of my comfort zone. And let's just say that my physique is not what you would describe as being optimal for wrestling. So having to get in the ring and wrestle against someone who probably weighs twice as much as me and get thrown around the ring, that was a bit daunting, but we did enough to make sure that we didn't get eliminated in that challenge, Kira and I, and pressed on to the next one.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of Mexican Lockie. You know, you're like the Rey Mysterio as a Mexican style. You know, they're a bit small and they flip the big guy somehow. So there's still hope for you in the wrestling arena. What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, it was an adrenaline rush and I really enjoyed it, but I don't know that it's something that I'd do again.
Yeah, no, look, it's a bucket list thing. You know, I grew up watching WWE, so having that chance, it was crazy. Then you go on to Penrith Stadium. How was that as a Parramatta fan? I mean, you're cheering on the Panthers. What's going on?
Well, it was the Panthers versus the Melbourne Storm, and Melbourne Storm are my least favourite rugby league team. So in that challenge, my motivation was that I wanted to really get the crowd behind the Panthers because I wanted the Storm to lose that match. And as it turned out, I think it was round 3 of the NRL, and the Panthers actually won that match 12-10 over the Storm. So I put that, in fact, I put the Panthers NRL Premiership victory in 2021 entirely down to the brilliance of the performance of the halftime cheer squad back in round 3.
Oh,
I can say that I was on the field as part of the cheer squad for the Premiership winning team.
aye, so where's the premiership ring, Lockie? You got to call Ivan Cleary and send it your way.
I reckon, actually, one of my good mates from motorsport, James Courtney, who races in supercars, he's a massive Panthers supporter as well. And he and I were having a bit of banter after the match. But yeah, I mean, being out on the stadium, it was a pretty cool experience. I mean, my coordination and my dance moves probably weren't brilliant, but what I lacked in coordination, I just made up for in enthusiasm and energy.
Yeah, no, that you did indeed. That game, if I'm not mistaken, Kickout saves a try saving tackle towards the end. That was
right
crazy.
on the bell.
Yeah, they
right
went down
on the
to
bell.
what a game.
Tackle. Yep.
Atmosphere would have been amazing. You got to tell us on that. Why is the Storm your least favourite team? One of my mates will be all on to you now.
Because I still haven't gotten over the 2009 NRL Grand Final. As a passionate Parramatta supporter, 2009, where we lost against the Melbourne Storm team that were subsequently found to be breaching the salary cap, that's still a very sore point for me.
If I'm not mistaken, they stripped them of that year. Is that not an asterisk to their name? What happened there?
Yeah, so they stripped the Storm of the premiership, but they didn't award it to anyone. So I say that it was a moral victory for Parramatta, but we never actually got the premiership. So,
yeah. But poor Nathan Hindmarsh, he keeps getting, they keep giving it to him about that premiership ring not being there. It came really close, eh?
It came so close on so many occasions. Actually, Nathan Hindmarsh is one of my favourite all-time Eels players. I just, as a kid growing up, I really loved his enthusiasm and the fact that he could keep tackling non-stop.
Mate, how good was Hindy? Look, as a Newcastle fan, I did admire Hindmarsh's work ethic, and maybe needed to tighten up a bit of the pants because I kept falling down. He would have locked those undies, I reckon, on the show.
Yeah.
He's a good man, Hindy. We got you in 01, so I'll apologise for that as well, Lockie.
Yeah, well, 01 was, Parramatta. We'd actually dominated for most of that season, and then you guys came and got us in the grand final. I think Andrew Johns, it was sort of, around the time that his career was really peaking, and I do remember that he was a superstar for you in that grand final. So
yeah, I remember you guys went missing in the first half. The second half, you made a comeback. It was a bit too little, too late there, eh?
It was, yeah.
So yeah, now we know why the Lockie was so enthusiastic to get behind the Penrith Panthers. It was a bit of vengeance for his side, the Parramatta Eels. So he's still Parramatta at heart. No question there.
No question there whatsoever. I'm a Parramatta boy for life.
No, legend. So we'll go back to the show. We're back on the show. More experiences. What was that Nutribullet? What was that machine again that you absolutely loved? Surely they're endorsing you now, Lockie.
Oh, the Thermomix. So the Thermomix is the ultimate cooking appliance. And yes, the Thermomix did make a few appearances during the show, but it is the best cooking appliance that's here in my kitchen at home. And I use it all the time. I love it. You can cook virtually anything with it. It is just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, Volkanovski is big on that, the UFC champion from Australia, Lockie himself. Mate, if the Thermo guys are watching, you got to give Lockie a contract. Surely we see Lockie on the advertisement on TV for that.
Yeah, hit me up, guys. I'd love to be brand ambassador for Thermomix.
Talk to us about Kira and your relationship with Kira. Now, we know in the experiment you're paired and repaired. So you moved on from Josie to Kira because Sophie felt that could work, or you could bring the best out of each other. Talk to us about how that relationship evolved. Where is it now? And did you think at the time you'd get to the winner of Beauty and the Geek Australia together?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one because we'd actually been repaired twice. You'll remember that I started off with Gabrielle in the first episode, and then I was repaired with Josie for a couple of episodes, and then Kira. And at the time, I'd just come off the high of winning the challenge with Josie. So it was a bit of a surprise to be repaired with Kira. But as the rest of the episodes went on, you would have seen that the connection between us just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And that was why we were such a formidable combination. In terms of, did I think we were going to win? No. In fact, all the way up to the last episode, I thought that George and Josie were probably going to win overall because they just kept winning challenges. Like, they were so good in so many of the challenges. So it came as a massive surprise when we ended up winning the show overall. But in terms of the connection between Kira and I, it was never romantic, but certainly there was very strong and very close platonic love there, which continues to this day. Kira and I still talk all the time. We FaceTime at least once a week. I actually saw her the other day. She came up to Sydney and we were able to hang out, which was really, really special for both of us. And we're always going to be really close friends. You don't go through an experience like that with someone and achieve what we achieved and not end up becoming lifelong friends.
Yeah, I mean, the memories you would have built to they stick with you forever. Talk to us about Sophie. What's her role with that, and where was your relationship with Sophie? How did that grow with the show after the show? Because you have had some occasions on Kyle and Jackie where Sophie comes in and pranks you.
Yes. Yeah, Sophie came in and pranked me and told me that I was going to be on Love Island, which I have to say, having watched Love Island, I'm actually quite relieved that I'm not part of Love Island. I don't think I would have survived more than about 5 minutes on that show. But yeah, Sophie's fantastic. I mean, she was a big supporter all the way through the show, just, always there for all of the cast members to talk to for advice. And like you say, since the show, we've continued to talk as well. And she's always there if I've got any questions or want to ask her for any advice, which is really, really lovely. So just a genuinely nice person.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to have that network and, that growth and that continuous person that you can go back to. Kyle, how's working with Kyle?
Yes, Kyle and Jackie O. It's been an initiation for me, I suppose you could say. It's very different to anything that I've done before. Even for me, coming from my professional broadcasting background, all of the broadcasting that I've done up to this point, it's obviously been all about motorsport and car racing. So getting on the radio and having to talk about celebrity news and my sex life, well and truly out of my comfort zone and completely different to talking about race cars on a racetrack. So it's been a challenge, but I think it's been good for me because it's made me more comfortable talking about stuff that previously I wouldn't have been that interested or that comfortable in talking about. So just in terms of broadening my horizons and broadening, the conversations starters that I'm, things that I'm able to talk to people about, it's been good for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's you've gone from one extreme to the other. There's absolutely no filter. There's, like you said, how does it feel to be put on the spot on radio?
Well, I think, again, it's got me out of my comfort zone because I've been talking about things on air that normally I wouldn't even be talking about off air. So it's, and Kyle, he has this persona that he adopts on radio where he's not afraid to talk about any of that sort of stuff, and it's worked out for him because he's become really successful off the back of it. So, like I say, it's been good for my personal development, I would say. I'm still a geek, though. I mean, I'm still a motorsport nerd who can tell you every motorsport fact in the universe.
Yeah,
that'll never change, I don't think.
That was all on show when you went on the Kyle Jackie for that challenge. Jeez, it was boom. Second nature. It was amazing to watch because, it brought you to this point, so to say, because it was what kind of pulled you back. And then it was what made you to who you are at the moment, because a lot of people are now accepting and they're saying, oh, well, he's really skilled. He's actually out there and he's not shy to put it in front of a camera. A lot of people don't put on what they are in front of a camera, which means there's a deficiency in their character. There wasn't in yours.
That's true as well. And that comes back to what we were talking about before about why you need to be true to yourself, because if you're not, and if you try and put on an act or pretend to be someone who you are not, you can't really keep that facade going for any length of time. Eventually, you will get found out and people will realise that you're not authentic. So that's why I've always just been myself and been true to myself.
No, that's honestly inspirational, man. You keep doing what you're doing. The whole Australia's behind you. I don't need to tell you that. Your social media platform tells you that, and your opportunities tell you that. You know, the sky's the limit, guys. You don't have to put on an act to make it out there in this world. You can be you, be true to yourself, and you know, things will happen. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not meant to be, well, so be it. You know, and that's the persona people should adopt. Now back to Locke. Are you going on a date with Jackie? Yeah, what's going on there? I kind of remember her promising when COVID opens up, you're going for a bowl.
Yeah, we haven't actually discussed that any further, and I need to probably follow her up on that. I mean, one of the good things is that now we're out of lockdown, the dating side of my life has kicked into gear. I am starting to go on dates with girls, which is really, really good. You know, and I've met some really, really nice girls. So, you know, that side of things is nice. I'm not really in any rush to find a serious girlfriend. I'm happy just to meet people and have fun. And I'm sure when the right girl sweeps me off my feet, I will know when that time arrives. So that's sort of where things are at with that side of my life at the moment.
Talk to us about that. You know, how cautious are you? Because now, you know, the demand for you would be high. A lot of people would want, you know, we don't know what their intentions are, but more often than not, a lot of genuine people would want to try and get into your life, especially from the female side. How do you deal with that now? Because the demand is so much more than what it used to be.
You're right. And it has been a challenge, and it's been sort of one extreme to the other. Whereas in the past, I'd struggle to get girls to go on dates with me. Now it's lots of girls having to go on dates, and you know, it's me having to filter out the ones that are maybe only interested because they think I'm famous and they want to try and write off the back of the profile that I've got. Filtering those ones out from the genuine ones who are actually interested in me as a person. So that's sort of been the thing that I've had to be a bit careful with, and it's something that I am being very careful with. So, you know, whether it's via social media or on the phone or whatever, I always make sure I talk to girls and get to know them a bit before I commit to spending time with them in person.
Yeah, look, it's important as well because yourself, you come first. You know, you got to look after your well-being. You got to protect yourself. Make sure that no one takes you for a ride, because in this day and age, it's pretty scary because the accessibility people have now, they would never have that access 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it's both a blessing and a curse, isn't it? The fact that social media is so powerful these days, it allows people to interact with their fans and give them more of an insight into their personal lives than what there's ever been before. But at the same time, that accessibility also comes with, you know, almost a little bit of pressure of, you know, you have a social media audience, so you have to make sure that you service that audience as well. So, you know, a lot more than before, I'm now really having to think about posting content on my social media channels and thinking about what sort of content I can post to cater for my audience. So, you know, that's one of the challenges that comes along. But, you know, it's not something that I'm going to complain about because there's a lot of opportunities that come with it as well.
That's true. So it's all about channeling the energy, channeling the opportunities, and making sure you take the positive things out, which you have. And in lockdown, you had lockdown with Locke. Talk to us about that, having the ability to talk and get A-list celebrities or successful people or positive, like-minded people on, where you could share a story, share their journey. How did you feel that you could do that? And you did do that.
So during lockdown, everybody's locked up and they're bored and they're looking for things to watch and things to do. So I thought, I've got a good Instagram following now. Why not use it and connect with other people who I've met along the journey and create some fun live videos. So that's what I did. And, you know, I got some really cool people that I was able to interview. And by the way, I'm going to resurrect the live Instagram videos. It'll now be called Locke Unlocked because we're out of lockdown. But I've got some more really cool guests lined up in the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to kicking that off again.
No, beautiful, man. So talk to us about what future plans you got going forward. And, you know, you got a lot going on. but what are your aspirations now to take things to the next level, or are you content with what you're doing at the moment?
So again, really, really good question and very relevant question for what I'm trying to achieve. So one of the things that I've identified is that I do see that there are some pathways that I can pursue within radio. So the Kind with Jackie O show has opened doors for me. So I've got my foot in the door now. That's something that I like to continue to pursue. With the motorsport side of things, probably with my business, I need to just restructure things a bit so that a lot of the back end PR work for clients gets handled by people other than myself, so that I personally can concentrate my energies into creating content that maximizes my brand. So things like podcasts, video content, or even me writing blogs, where it's my name's attached to it to sort of to maximize my brand. So I think you'll be seeing more of that. And definitely with the motorsport commentary stuff, it's something that I've always loved. It's always been my childhood dream to be a motorsport commentator. So that's an avenue that I'm going to continue to pursue. And that'll be something that will tie in quite well, I think, with the radio stuff.
Hey, mate, they both intertwined. So you're telling us now we're going to see Lockie on Fox, or where are we going to see it? What big platform is going to snip you up?
100%. That's the dream for me, to be on television, whatever the television network is, commentating the Bathurst 1000. The childhood dream for me was always to be television commentator for the Supercars Championship. So that's what I'm going to continue to pursue.
If you were to tell yourself, a young Lockie, that you're going to be in this position one day, would you believe it? Would you have to pinch yourself? It's actually amazing, because a lot of us all have dreams. All the viewers, myself included, we all have things we aspire to work towards. When they start becoming a reality, sometimes you got to pinch yourself and say, I'm actually here.
Yeah, I do have to pinch myself a bit, but at the same time, I'm also realistic in the sense that I know that there's still a lot of hard work that I need to do. So definitely going on reality TV, it's given me a big profile boost, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think probably the next 3 to 6 months are absolutely critical in terms of getting things structured so that I can really now maximize the opportunities that I've got.
100%, especially when you see all the celebrities, all successful people, yourself included, at the time you're at, a lot of them always stress on the hard work, dedication, committing yourself to a task and having that goal and achieving it. Talk to us about waking up in the morning for radio as well, because you've gone from running your own business, doing things on your time, going on a TV show, doing things on their time, and now you've gone to early mornings. How's that?
Yeah, look, it's mentally, it can be a bit draining because it's very early starts. I'm getting up at 4:15 a.m. each morning during the week to be on radio, to be in the studio at 5:30, ready for the show to start at 6. So that side of things has been a bit of a readjustment, and particularly when I'm still running my own business. So I'm getting home from the radio station at about midday and then having to spend the afternoon working on stuff for my business. It does make for long days. So it is hard work at the moment, but at least there's an end goal. So at least I know that I'm working towards something. Whereas I think previously I'd fallen into a bit of a trap where I was working really hard in the business, but not really working on the business. So, I was making money, but I wasn't really doing anything to grow or to progress.
Yeah, and that comes with life as well, the lessons we take and things and how we grow and evolve as humans. I feel it's important and it's inspiring to take from your story and all the audience or anyone watching to understand that, keep setting goals, keep changing, evolving, put yourself out there. Sky's the limit. Talking about the sky's the limit, Parramatta Eels. What's your prediction for next year, mate? How are we looking? You just signed Madge, I think, as an assistant.
Did we? Well, there you go. I hadn't actually heard that, but if that's the case, that's interesting. So hopefully he'll be a valuable asset. So the West Tigers let him go, obviously, and so he's the ex Dragons coach last year got moved on. I forgot his name. I thought he was I've got a mind blank here. He's coaching St George. He left. Cameron McGuinness last game with him. I'm just, as we talk, I'm Googling.
Mate, Lockie's all onto it. Who is the new assistant at the Parramatta Eels? I could have swore Paul McGregor, I think that's him.
Paul McGregor.
If I'm right. Jeez, I could be
Paul
wrong.
McGregor.
Jeez, to think I had a rugby league show this year with Buzz Rothfield, Andy Raymond.
Yep. So Paul McGregor and Michael Ennis are both joining the Eels coaching staff. So there you go. Well, there we go. I've actually got respect for Michael Ennis as a commentator. I think that he does a really good job on the Fox Sports Rugby League coverage as a commentator and an expert analyst. He's very articulate. He speaks really well about the game. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes at Parramatta.
Yeah, it will be. I think he's coming from the Raiders, that means, because I know we had an assistant last year with Stewart. So that means you've taken two, one from the Dragons or ex-Dragon and an ex-Raider. Newcastle, we took Joey Johns off you as well. So he's coaching the halves up at Newcastle.
Well, that makes sense because it's sort of a homecoming for him, isn't it? So,
jeez, yeah, it's almost like a pinch yourself moment. It's meant to be. But yeah.
So in terms of how I think we'll go next year, well, yeah, I mean, hopefully we can be competitive. I felt like we got a bit unlucky this year, losing to the Panthers in the preliminary final. So hopefully next year we can go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, a lot of the fans and a lot of the pundits as well, they went off Parramatta towards the end of the season. Then you shocked the Storms, you shocked the Panthers as well. A couple of good performances, you get rid of the Knights as well, unfortunately. You had a decent run at the back end. So I know Brad Arthur signed on a couple more years after that. So hopefully onwards and upwards for you, Locke.
Fingers crossed. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. Mate.
I don't know what it's like for Parramatta to win a premiership because our last one was 1986 and I wasn't born then. So,
yeah, look, I share similar sentiments. I'm a Newcastle fan. I was born in 96. We won at 97, 01. I was a youngster, and then afterwards, as I got older, it was all wooden spoons. So I've won a lot of wooden spoons, not many premierships that I can remember.
Yeah, well, we've had our share of wooden spoons as well, I can tell you. So
yeah,
I know the feeling.
They're not that fun, eh? Lockie,
no.
It's been a pleasure having you. Last message for all the audience, people watching, anyone who wishes to be inspired from your story, what can you give back to the fans?
I think probably the biggest takeaway is just to be true to yourself, be proud of the things that you're passionate about, believe in yourself, and don't settle for second best.
100%. Self-value, self-love, self-preservation. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you, Lockie. Thanks for coming on the podcast, mate. Absolute champion, Beauty and the Geek winner, Cole and Jackie O. It's taking over, guys. Tune into all his social medias. An absolute pleasure. We're out.